I want to give a huge thank you to the team behind Project Mist for sponsoring this video. It's your boy Cool Kid Croc, and today we're going to be talking about Project Mist. It's a stunning simulation game which features base building, colossal monsters, and survival elements. When I first caught wind of this game, I knew it'd be something I wanted to talk about, as it seemed like a really cool concept with the Lovecraftian creatures roaming the world. So today we're going to be doing a deep dive on the new trailer that was released for the game, as we try to dissect all the main gameplay features we can find. The game is still very early on in development, but if you go onto Steam, you can wishlist it right now to make sure you can keep your eye on it. Now let's jump into the starting scene in the trailer, being on a bridge leading into a gas station or some kind of point of interest. Now the bridge might be a player-built object, but I can't be certain of this, as the trailer didn't show off too much of a base building, so I highly doubt it. But our point of view shows us holding an axe and going through it into this location. If I had to guess, I'd say you could likely gather wood and other materials in game, and then you'd go into the points of interest trying to loot them for food or maybe weapons. But with a character having an axe, I really wonder if there's going to be a different trait or skill system in the game. Example is in Project Zomboid, the axe is a great weapon and a tool to survive with in the world. Not only can you level it up normally, but you can also select an occupation before you start the game. This lets you swing the axe faster and have a higher skill in it, and seeing different gameplay mechanics like that would surely be interesting. Next, we go into an open area with a crossbow. The world has this fog in it too, which makes the whole vibe a lot more scary and eerie, but the true horror element leads into when we see the first giant in the game. This is what really had my jaw drop and go, wow, like this game could be crazy. This thing looks gnarly. I mean, there aren't many survival games which include giants, and this is an idea I always remember wishing for when I was younger. Just looking at it in a game, it feels like a fever dream. The size of this giant monster, it easily towers the trees in the area, maybe being twice as big as some of them. Now, before the monster turns around and maybe tries to eat us, we're going through a forest. And here, there is a lot to look at. I mean, we got this giant head with this huge bump at the side. It just looks awfully gross, but it seems like it's actually a part of the ground, like perhaps its body is stuck in the earth. And I would go to guess that it's always been stuck there, seeing as there's trees in the area which have obviously been chopped down by someone with an axe. They're clean cuts and straight, so I really doubt it would be like an animal doing that. So this leads me to wonder what kind of character this would be in the game. Like, is this going to be an NPC enemy? Like maybe he'll climb out of the ground and attack and he cause a huge earthquake, or maybe he'll use his brain to call for backup from his friends or forest animals. I mean, like, you know, with a head that big, I wouldn't be surprised if he could channel brainwaves. But the last option I thought of too was maybe a non-hostile enemy. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be some kind of lore in the game or something guiding you to go along the quest, and whether or not this is just going to be like hints or notes, or perhaps a character, say this guy who could maybe be a gentle giant because he's stuck in the ground. But who knows? He looks really evil, but looks can be deceiving. I mean, so far we don't have much information on the story, so it's all speculatory good fun, so do let me know in the comments though, who do you think this gnarly looking guy is and what's his backstory? Now next, it brings us into a foggy area where we see a giant whale flying through the sky. Well, you know, it kind of looks like a whale. It's probably a whale, but it has different features, obviously, like its neck. It looks all zombified. And then if you move on to its waist and lower body, it even has spikes or maybe bones showing throughout its body. I can't imagine this is a good whale. This is definitely like a bad guy whale. And also really wonder, how would you even fight this thing? Or like, what, it just lands on you and crushes the entire city around you? It might as well be a nuke. And while I'm not certain if at the end is just a transition or possibly a debuff or negative effect on a character, as it would make sense with a game being a survival simulation game, but I'm not quite sure about that. Now, other than that, the area around it all looks really good. Like, each of the scenes have amazing graphics, and the depth of field with the whole monsters and everything just looks crazy, especially seeing them fly through the sky. And if you take a look around the area, you can see there's some kind of hydro poles and somewhat of a road, likely leading to somewhere, like some kind of point of interest or a city, but I can't be certain on that. Now, the next area shows a nasty looking monster, which doesn't seem to be moving, but obviously it sees us as it screams. Seeing as our character is equipped with a gun, which looks like some kind of AK, I'd go to assume this would be one of the giants in the game that you can fight and is maybe easier to defeat. I mean, that big ball in its mouth just wiggling about is screaming to be shot at. But it does appear like it has a couple big tentacles hanging out behind it, likely using those to fight you at a ranged distance. Who knows what this guy would do? I mean, those are really long, so he could maybe slash you, whip you, pick up a rock, throw it at you. Imagine he just wraps a tentacle around you and throws you in his mouth. Like, I can't see this thing just being a stationary screaming monster, you know? If that was the case, they just put someone's baby mom there. So I'd go to guess that it's going to be trying to slash or whip you or some kind of enemy that you can defeat earlier on in the game. Definitely looks a little bit more manageable though than the giant whale or the giant bad guy. Now next we're traveling with a crossbow again, and there's a few cars in the area which have been destroyed and are decaying into the ground. It looks like the whole world has been overgrown, like this has not just happened yesterday, this has been going on for a long time. And we also get to see a pack of giant hermit crabs. Now while they're only about half the size of a player, I would go to guess, and we don't really know if these guys are hostile or not, it shows there will be some more enemies or creatures that you can fight that are on your scale. With 7 or 8 of them though, I'm not sure if a crossbow will be a good weapon choice. I mean, maybe grab the AK when you have to go hunting for giant hermit crab. But over than those guys in the area, I can see these red things which almost reflect or glow. What these things really are, I don't know, and they aren't animal-like, so I don't have a clue. If you got an idea, then let me know in the comment section below, because honestly, these have me looking at them for a few minutes, I just couldn't figure it out. Now next, it's a bit darker, and then we spot a giant in the water, which appears to be having a bath. With a face that only a mother could love, he's got a nasty looking mouth, and I will go to assume that this won't just be a good guy, you know? This is probably a really bad guy. Like, imagine if he picks up a player and just uses him like a bar of soap. But really though, I mean, I'm not sure how we would fight this thing. Molotov cocktail to the mouth, run away and just hope for the best. I'm not quite sure. But we will see him later on in the trailer. Now next, what appears to be a giant insect. Some kind of giant spider or maybe an ant. It has these glowing red tips on the back of it, so I would guess that these would be the spots that you would try to damage or kill it. It's got these spikes all over its body, but I couldn't spot any face or head on it. I mean, likely that would be on the other side of it, but this definitely looks like some kind of creature or giant that we would fight sometime in the middle of a game. Not sure about day 1, but maybe day 2 once I got the AK. Damn, man, I wish I could shoot it. Now next, we see our character just breaking a box with an axe, which, I mean, it is what it is, but look closely, okay? You can see there's a gun that dropped from the box. So that does confirm that you're going to be able to loot different places in the game, trying to find better equipment and better gear. Whether this is going to range from just guns and armor to maybe other objects and whatnot, we'll have to see. Now we then see our guy with the AK as 2 monsters approach him. These appear to be some smaller versions of her water body that was taking a bath earlier, as they got the same kind of face as them, but they're only slightly bigger than us. Now one of them is running up to us trying to claw at us, and by shooting it, that one dies, and when we start shooting the next one, he starts to take a few more bullets. This definitely looks like really intense. I mean, you imagine just at night you're trying to run around, get some wood, and then these guys come out of nowhere and attack you. And I really think this is good, as if there was only giants in the game, then it'd be pretty hard to find fun sometimes. So having some smaller enemies is perfect for the day-to-day challenges or just for making the game more difficult. But next is one of the other coolest parts of a trailer. As we see, it's nighttime and our character is walking towards a nice wooden spiked wall. Now I would go to believe that this wall would be a part of a base building feature, or it was built for the player as his base. Maybe he inhabited there, but it definitely serves a purpose, as once he goes up, you can see the dozens of monsters hanging out in the area, almost like a zombie gathering. These guys look a little bit different than the last monsters we've seen, as they have a little bit more of a round, polished head and one big claw. And while I'm very uncertain about those guys and what they are, there's something even greater in the background, being the giant insect making its way across the map. It's moving slowly, but it's likely covering like a lot of ground with each step. And that's the end of a trailer. Now, I think it does a very good job at showing off the core concepts of the game. I would really love to see some stuff with base building once that gets more fleshed out, of course. But right now, as long as there can be a good lineup of like gameplay mechanics and a gameplay loop, then I'm sure this is going to be a project to remember. Of course, check out my link in the description to wishlist the game on Steam. That'll be the best way to keep up with it and see what's going on with the dev cycle. And what I really like about this style of keeping up with game projects is that you get to put in a lot of feedback as the game is being developed. I mean, it already looks really promising, but I saw a lot of nice comments in the trailer. I'm sure the developers will be keeping an open ear to what will make the game awesome. Now, me, myself, and I would like to see an open world game with basic survival mechanics, but definitely focused on the Lovecraftian giant-sized creatures. It could be nice if there were some NPCs who weren't hostile, or maybe other humans who are sparse and hard to find. Maybe even bandits and raiders who try to loot the land, like people who survived that are like savages now. It would be amazing seeing different events happen in the game, like a group of bandits fighting a giant, or maybe even the bandits getting their base raided by all those zombie looking guys. And with the base building, while we weren't shown too much how we're going to be building, I'm sure a simple system is going to work. Like anything similar to Rust, Valheim, Medieval Dynasty. Just give us something so we can put stuff around the map, craft, you know, do that type of thing. But my main interest with it too is how is base building going to work in this world? Because of all these giants, I mean, I probably wouldn't want to build a super big base or like a super big city, as we're going to constantly being attacked by giants. It'd be like Attack on Titan, you know, like just crazy. So probably want to isolate a base somewhere in walls or maybe even mountains. I'm really interested in it. And whether or not we're going to be able to kill the giants is uncertain. I'm sure there's going to be some kind of gameplay loop and way to fight them or maybe avoid some of them. If there's no way they're not going to be a big part of a game, pun intended. Now, like myself, whenever I see a brand new project, I was really wondering what's the background on the developers of this game. Do they have any other games released? What's the standard for quality, etc. Now, the developer's name is Chicken Launcher, and if you check out some of the other games they've made quite a few quality titles. Now, one of their games, No Place Like Home, is a farming sim in a post-apocalyptic world, and this game has very positive reviews with over 3,000 reviews on Steam. Now, that's a really good sign, but other than that, they have two other games. The other game is Fresh Start Cleaning Simulator, which also has very positive reviews and just looks wonderful. And the other game they made is called Panorama, which is a city builder game. All three of these have very positive reviews, and seems like people are genuinely enjoying them. They also have a game releasing next month called Captain Possum, and why I'm bringing all this up is because so far their track record looks really good. I mean, these are all very quality titles, and if they're using these titles to help fund Project Mist, which looks like a very expensive project, then I have a lot of confidence if it can keep it up at this rate. It'll be interesting to see the transition from a more bright kind of graphic style into the more dark and grungy, eerie atmosphere. But as I said, so far they haven't struck out. Every game's been very positive, home run. Now, if you like this type of video, make sure you leave a like, comment, and subscribe. I'll be keeping up with the Project Mist development as time goes on. If you want to do the same, definitely subscribe to me, go wishlist the game on Steam, and join the conversation in the comments below. Anyways though, as always, I want to thank you guys for watching, and thank you to the Project Mist team for sponsoring this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.